My name is Keith Howes, and I was the features editor of London's Gay News from 1976 until 1979. When I first joined the newspaper, I very much wanted the paper to go outside the confines of London, because there were many criticisms from many gay people that London was seen as the only place to be gay in, which is quite ridiculous when you're in the British Isles, which of course comprise Scotland, Northern Ireland and Wales, and England. So one of the first things I did was to start a series called Gay Britain. And together with photographer Bob Workman, he and I would go to a particular town or city in England, Scotland or Wales and interview people that lived and worked in the city who happened to be gay or lesbian. And this was a very popular series. We went to Cambridge, we went to Milton Keynes, we went to Manchester, we went to Norwich, and we went to Bristol and Birmingham. Did you know it had more parkland than any other city in Britain? Well, it does. I learned lots of things on the journey, principally, of course, to get on with Bob Workman. Bob Workman was a very independent-minded man. He'd first come to the newspaper by writing an article on his coming out. We had a series called Coming Out, and coming out was the big thing in the 1970s. It was basically telling the world that you were gay. And what better way to do it than in a gay newspaper? And Bob had been a photographer, he'd been a road manager of a pop group, and he was very, very keen to transform gay news into something really magnificent, powerful, politically strong, and instead of which, of course, he had me as features editor, who, in the nicest possible way, was, well, shall we say, between an airhead and an egghead. I was not the brightest bulb on gay news, I have to say. There were some highly intelligent people working for that newspaper, and Bob, of course, was one of them. But Bob and I went together, even though we argued lots of times. We had lots of disagreements, mainly about Marxism and all those isms. And between us, I think we carved out a niche, which gave, of course, gay news a little bit more exposure, because people could actually meet us. They could actually talk to two people from the newspaper, and in so doing, they could give us ideas for how we could improve the paper, and often we put those ideas into practice. So it was really great communication. There was just one problem. I'm not a night person, I'm a day person. I get up at 6 a.m. So, I'd leave Gay News on the Friday night. We'd travel up to wherever we were going. And, of course, we'd have to go to the bar because that's where all the action was. We'd be up till about 1. Then we have to get up early in the morning because we had to go and interview. And by the end of the weekend, I was absolutely frazzled. And I don't like bars, and I don't like pubs, and I don't like disco, and I don't like noise, and I don't like cigarette smoke, because in those days, everybody smoked, including Bob. So for me, there was a little bit of the ordeal about it. Which place did I like the most? There's no doubt which one. Chester. Why did I like Chester? Because the gays and the lesbians were together. They supported each other. They were together socially. They danced together. They were laughed together. They sang together. It was so joyous. And although, of course, gay men must have their places and lesbians must have their places, it was a real treat to see genuine brotherhood and sisterhood. So good on you, Chester, and I look forward to perhaps one day returning and seeing if it's still as cooperative as it was back in the 1970s.